These chocolate brownies are amazing. I'm in heaven. I'm really in heaven right now. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Debbie and I read a lot of books, and at the moment, if you've watched other videos, you might have noticed I've read a lot of Liane Moriarty books lately. I really do like her books and I'm on a bit of a kick at the moment, and I've read another one. This one I did in 2 days. I could not put it down, and it is The Husband's Secret. So that is the front cover that I have on BorrowBox, which is an app connected to my local library, so I get to read a lot of books for free and not spend all my hard-earned money on books when I am saving for my own place at the moment. So yeah, I'll get into that blurb and I'll tell you what I thought of this. This was an interesting one, so yeah. Mother of 3 and wife of John Paul, Cecilia discovers an old envelope in the attic. Written in her husband's hand, it says, "To be opened only in the event of my death." Curious, she opens it and time stops. John Paul's letter confesses to a terrible mistake which, if revealed, would wreck their family as well as the lives of others. Cecilia, betrayed, angry and distraught, wants to do the right thing, but right for who? If she protects her family by staying silent, the truth will worm through her heart. But if she reveals her husband's secret, she will hurt those she loves the most. This was such a good book. The blurb doesn't cover half of it, because you're seeing from the point of view of Cecilia, you're also seeing from the point of view of a woman called Tessa, and then you're also seeing the point of view of a woman called Rachel. Right, to start with who everybody is. Rachel. I'll start with Rachel because she's a big part and she's where a lot of the story overlaps. So she worked as the secretary at the local primary school. She helped basically to run the school because the headmistress is like crazy. As evidence of some of the things that she wears on the day of the big Easter party. It seems fitting to be reading this in April, which is when I'm reading this, when we just had Easter, so it just seemed like the perfect time to read it, really. And yeah. So you got Rachel. She has a grown-up child. You find out that her daughter was killed when she was a teenager. Nobody knows who did it. All they know is that the daughter was found at the local park at the bottom of the slide with her uniform jumper coat draped over her. They never found out who did it. Then you've got Cecilia, who you see on the blurb, and at the beginning of the book she finds a letter while her husband is away for work that said to be opened in the event of my death. Cecilia is just there thinking, well, he's not dead, should I open it, what should I do? And she has a phone call with her husband where she says, I found this letter that says to be opened when you die. And he's just there going, please don't open it. I wrote it just after our daughter was born. I was very heightened emotions, don't read it. And obviously that piques her interest. The blurb is slightly misleading because it makes it feel like she opened it almost straight away. She actually kind of hid it for a bit. She tells him that she put it back where she found it in amongst all his like tax returns and things and boxes in the attic. But then he comes home and he keeps going on about like, have you read this letter, whatever. And she just gets more intrigued by what is inside the letter because of the way her husband is reacting to it, to the point that she realises that he had gone up, because as I said, she claims she put it back where she found it when actually she puts it in a filing system downstairs. So when it sounds like he's going off into the attic to destroy the letter, she realises actually she needs to open it and find out what the hell he's trying to hide. And that is where she finds out her husband's secret. Then you've got Tessa. Was it Tessa or Tess? Tess. This is the complicated relationship here. We've got Tess, Felicity and Will. Tess is married to Will. Felicity is Tess's cousin, and they all live together along with Tess and Will's son. And at the beginning of the book, Felicity, the cousin, and Will, her husband, sit her down and tell her that they have fallen in love. Tess is just like, really? And then the idea was put in that they should all still live together, and Tess is like, are you completely insane? And so Tess leaves them in the house that they lived in together and says, I'm taking my son and we're going to go visit my mum because she's injured her ankle, and so I'm just going to take my son and we're going to go live out there with my mum, and we're going to look after her. Because as with most Liane Moriarty books, it's set in Australia. It didn't feel like other Liane Moriarty books to me, because a lot of the time in Liane Moriarty books you start off with this big explosive moment and then you find out everything that led up to it. This wasn't quite like that, even though there is a significant moment in the past in regards to Rachel's daughter dying. It doesn't feel like it's all focused around that. It's not like what led up to that moment. It's them as adults after it's all happened. And there's still this mystery hovering over this town where this happened. And Tess obviously comes home to this town. Finds out that her ex is now the PE teacher at the primary school where she's getting her son enrolled, because she just can't handle going back to Felicity and Will, because she's just like, they've made their bed and now they have to lie in it kind of situation. Some people really didn't like this book according to Goodreads. This felt like very sliding doors what if. There's lots of like, if this hadn't happened, this would have happened. And I found that like a really interesting thing to do, because it's just like, what would have happened if Rachel's daughter hadn't died that day? If she'd gone to that doctor's appointment and all this sort of stuff. That's what happens at the end, and it just leads up to that kind of like, this is what may have happened if this hadn't happened. And from the looks of things on Goodreads, there were some people who didn't like that. I kind of did. I thought it was an interesting way to tell that side of the story. Like, if she had gone to the doctor's appointment, what she would have found out, and how at the end, it's not like the full happy ending that you think you're gonna get, because people still don't know the truth. They only know their own single truth, so they don't all know the bigger picture of what actually happened. I liked that it was different from the other Liane Moriarty books. It looked like it averaged around 4 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. But to be fair, I don't really put that much into reviews. I definitely don't read reviews before I start reading things, because I just don't like the idea of that influencing what I think. I just read it and decide whether I like it or not. It takes a lot for me to be put off a book. And for me, the biggest ones, when I think of the ones that I really didn't like, it was Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. I wanted to throw my phone across the room several times when I was reading that book, because I just didn't get that love story. And Frankenstein by Jeanette Winterson. I wasn't the biggest fan of that one. Nothing to do with what anybody else said, it was just my personal feelings with it. With The Husband's Secret, I like the fact that it is different to other Liane Moriarty books that I've read, that start off with that big explosive moment and then goes like a year or 2 back and leads you up to that moment. In this, you pretty much start straight away with Cecilia talking about this letter that she's found, and seeing Tess and seeing her being sat down by her cousin and her husband saying, we have fallen in love and we still want to live together, and Tess is just there going, are you freaking kidding me? I don't know if it's just because her name was Rachel, I don't know, when I find that a bit of a younger name, I don't know, but in my mind Rachel was younger than I thought she was. But she's a grandmother. She's constantly on the what ifs of what would have happened to her daughter, what happened the day she died. And she has a grudge against certain people because of her assumptions about what happened to her daughter. So yeah, it does mainly focus around on the death of Rachel's daughter and how the others fit into that. And yeah, I found it really good. And as I said, I did it in like 2 days. I couldn't put it down. I remember I started it on the sofa when I got home from work and did about 200 pages. Because it's 416 pages on ebook on my iPad. So yeah, I think I did just under half of it in that first night. And then I read a little bit of it on my lunch break at work the next day, and then finished it off that second night on the sofa. So yeah, I just could not put it down. I was going to like, what's going to happen? And how is Cecilia going to confront John Paul about what she's found out in the letter, about what he did as a kid, and the fact that nobody knew or knows that John Paul knew Rachel's daughter. I don't want to spoil it too much, but I can imagine some people will probably guess by the way I'm talking and what they already know about this book. But yeah, if you're used to Liane Moriarty's style in regards to this big explosive moment and what were the events leading up to that, this feels very different from that. It just It almost didn't feel like I was reading a Liane Moriarty book. I've read a few and I've kind of picked up on the pattern and her style of writing, and this just feels very different, but in a very good way. It's nice to have something, just a bit of a different style from someone who you feel like you know their writing, and then you read something else, it's just like, oh, this feels different from this person, and I like it. But yeah, so just seeing these three different points of view of three different women. One who wants to know what happened to her daughter, Cecilia, who finds out this huge secret that her husband wrote down for her to find in the event of his death, and she's just there going, why on earth would you give me that information in a letter to be opened when you died? Because how the fuck was I supposed to handle that? And then you've also got Tessie's husband's secret of him falling in love with the cousin. And yeah, so it's one of those titles that it can apply to more than one thing. It can apply to John Paul's secret, but it can also apply to Will and Tessie's secret of going behind Tessie's back. Yeah, I love a title that has that duality. But yeah, so you've got these just three very different women and how their stories intertwine, and comes back to the death of Rachel's daughter. I'm just processing. I finished this the other night. It's in Australian fiction, crime and thriller, and target audience adult. Definitely get that, but admittedly I would have loved this book as a teenager probably. This ebook came out in 2013, November 2013, but yeah, as you can see, I couldn't put this one down as I did it in 2 days, which isn't like a big deal. I am quite a fast reader. I swear I've read Big Little Lies, but I can't remember. But I do have 9 Perfect Strangers on my reserved. But yeah, when I just see like my lone history, you've got Husband's Secret, 3 Wishes, Julie Madly Guilty, The Last Anniversary, just like you can tell I've just been enjoying reading her books. I think she's up there as one of my favourites in regards to her style. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really clever the way that 3 stories were intertwined and the different husband secrets. And there is also a secret that comes out about Rachel's husband, who has died at this point in the story, that you do find out a secret in regards to her husband on the day that the daughter died as well. So I'm trying to be careful. I'm treading carefully so that I don't spoil it too much. But yeah, if you like a good mystery, if you like those kind of stories that are told from a good female point of view, one way you can't completely trust them anyway, because you know you can't trust them completely, because they all have their moments. So people who like that slight unreliable narrator as well. And also there's a point when just Rachel is making all these assumptions about things that she has found in regards to her daughter's death, and you realise that she is targeting the wrong person. She has no idea of what happened to her daughter, and there's something that she finds during the story that makes her think that somebody was involved, and you realise that she's just gotten it entirely wrong. You're in the know when the character isn't, and you're just like, oh no, what's she gonna do? Yeah, I greatly enjoyed this book, and I'm looking forward to the next Liane Moriarty book I read. So, The Husband's Secret. That is the front cover I have. I'm sure there's multiple at this point. I just loved it. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!